So this lesson, section 1.4, is all about slope, so it should be a good review for everybody. You can see the objectives for this lesson. We're going to figure out how to find slope of a line. We are going to talk about slope-intercept form and point slope form, and then we're going to graph horizontal, vertical lines, regular lines. We're going to talk about a lot of basic things from Algebra 1. Like I said, hopefully it should be a good amount of review. So let's get started here on the formula for slope, which should be familiar. Slope, we use the variable m to refer to slope, and we use this formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to find the slope. And let's just remember here, x1 and x1, y1, and x2, y2 are 2 points on the line. And then we've got two equations that we use a lot to write equations of lines. The first one here is point slope form. So point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And again, x1, y1 is a point on the line, and m is your slope. And then we have slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is down here, and it's y equals mx plus b. Pretty common, probably sounds very familiar. Again, m is the slope, and then b is the y-intercept. So don't forget that b is the y-intercept. Yeah, a couple more seconds to jot anything down, and then we're going to check out our first example. Okay, so our first example here, it says write an equation of the line passing through the points 4, -3 and -2, 6. And so in order to write the equation of a line, first we need to find the slope. So that's the very first thing we're going to do. And so we're going to use that formula, y2, I'll write it up here, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And it doesn't matter which point we make x1, y1, x2, y2. And so I'm going to have m equals, let's make this x2 and y2 and x1, y1. Labeling always helps. You don't have to. So we'll do 6 minus -3 over -2 minus 4. Okay, and then we'll simplify this. So I'm going to have in my numerator 6 minus -3 is going to become 9. -2 minus 4, that's going to be -6. And so I can simplify this fraction to find the slope, which is going to be -3 over 2 is my slope. Now, when we have the slope and we have points, we can use either of those forms that we just talked about before, point slope form or slope-intercept form. I'm going to show you using point slope form. So let's write that down. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I use this one even though both will work, but I use this one because we have the slope and I have points, and this is point slope form. And so I'm going to have y, we're going to leave y as is, and I'm going to substitute y1 and x1. So I'm going to use y1, I'll use -3. Use that point, even though you could use that point, that's totally okay too. I'll substitute -3 over 2 in for the slope for m times x minus x1, which is 4. And then we're going to go and simplify this, getting y by itself, because then we'll have the equation of the line. So we're going to have y plus 3 over here. Two negatives make positive. And then let's distribute this -3 over 2 to everything in the parentheses. So we're going to have -3 over 2x. And then on the side here, I'll show you. On the side here, we're going to do -3/2 times -4. Multiply fractions, we go straight across, or you can reduce first. If we go straight across, we'll have 12/2, which is going to give me a +6. And then we will just get the y by itself, so I'll subtract 3 on both sides. And we'll get the equation of the line is y equals -3/2 x plus 3 is the equation of this line. So notice we first had to find the slope, and then we're going to use point slope form. If you use slope intercept form, you'll get the same thing though. Okay. Now let's talk about graphing lines. We're actually going to graph this line that we just found the equation of, so I'm going to write it over here. Y equals -3/2 x plus 3. So a refresher on graphing an equation in slope intercept form. Here's an equation in slope intercept form. First thing we want to do is plot the y-intercept. And we know our y-intercept is the b value, and in this case, the b value is 3. Here's this y-intercept. So I plot that first. 1, 2, 3. And then we use our slope. So remember, our slope is your rise over your run. And let's also review slope. If we have a positive slope, we go uphill. And if we have a negative slope, it goes downhill. So notice we have a negative slope. I'm going to rise and then run to the left. So from my y-intercept here, I'm going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and then run to the left 2. Notice that's going to create a negative slope. I always then go under now. So I'm going to go down 3 and then over 2. Always want there, we can at least have 3 points on our line. There we go. So just a refresher on graphing lines, start with the y-intercept and then use your slope. Positive slopes go uphill, negative slopes go downhill. Any questions for me, you can throw them in the chat. We just have 2 more pages to talk about. The next vocab we're going to talk about is just some review on horizontal and vertical lines. A horizontal line is given by an equation of the form y equals b. We put in that variable where b is the y-intercept of the line. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. Important to remember, or just you can think about it once you look at a horizontal line. So let's say we have, here's your coordinate plane, and this, here's your coordinate plane. And then if I draw a horizontal line, I could draw a horizontal line right here. Notice it intersects a y value. So that's why it's always going to be y equals your y-intercept. So let's say that's 2 for horizontal line. You can always think about how the horizontal line has a slope of 0. Think about when you rise and you run. You're not rising anything. So you're rising 0, and you could run as many as you want, but when your numerator is 0, 0 divided by a number is going to be 0. And then a vertical line has the equation of the form x equals a, where a is the x-intercept of the line. And then always remember, a vertical line has a slope that's undefined. So again, let's draw a coordinate plane here to just get a visual. And if I draw a vertical line, okay, it's a little slanted, pretend it's vertical, it intersects at an x value. So that's why the equation is its x-intercept. So let's say the equation of this line is x equals -3. And then thinking about its slope, think about how much you're going to rise. You can rise 100, you could rise 5, but you're running 0. And whenever 0 is in your denominator and you have a number in your numerator, you have an undefined fraction and undefined slope. So just a little review there of horizontal and vertical lines. And also talking about intercepts, x and y intercepts is going to be the last example here we're going to talk about this morning. Find the x and y intercepts and then graph this equation. So a review on how we find x-intercepts and y-intercepts. In order to find x-intercepts, we need to set y equal to 0 and solve. think about every x-intercept, y is 0, so that's allowing us to solve for the x value. And then it's the reverse for y-intercept. Set x equal to 0 and solve. Again, every y-intercept, x is 0, so then we can solve for the y value. And so we can do that for this problem here. Let's first find our x-intercept. I'm going to rewrite this equation. I'm going to substitute 0 in for y. So we're going to have 4x minus 3 times 0. I'm going to add that 6 to the other side right now. So then I can start to solve this. I'll have 3 times 0, we know is 0. We'll have 4x equals 6. Divide both sides by 4. So I'm going to have x equals 6 over 4, which we'll say is 3 over 2, 3/2. So then our x-intercept, make sure when you write your intercepts, it's always a point. X equals 3 over 2, that's a line. So if I'm going to answer my question of an intercept, make sure it's 3 over 2 comma 0 is my intercept, not x equals 3 over 2, because that's actually a line, which we just really talked about. And then for y-intercept, I'm going to do something very similar, but now I'm going to substitute 0 in for x. So we'll have 4 times 0 minus 3y. I'm going to add that 6 to the other side. 4 times 0 is 0. I'm going to have negative 3y equals 6. Divide both sides by negative 3. My y-intercept is negative 2. So I'm going to write it as a point. 0 comma negative 2 is my y-intercept. And then we can use 2 points. That's all we need to graph a line. So very rough sketch here. Here's my coordinate plane. And I can plot some points here. If my y-intercept is 0 comma negative 2, I'll throw a y-intercept down here. And then if my x-intercept is 3/2 over 3 over 2 comma 0, I'm going to throw that right here. And we can use that to draw a quick sketch of this line. 4x minus 3y minus 6 equals 0. Okay, so guys, this was a very little review of slope and lines this morning. That's all the lesson is. If you have any questions, let me know. You can put them in the chat, stick around. If not, we will talk some more about slope this afternoon. Have a great day, everyone.